what your music is about, what the main themes are, how you go about doing it. Maybe just a brief description from you.
Well, my kind of music, I make it so peaceful that it's danceable, it's easier to pass this message of peace and love through, and it's not limited to a certain age, the young, the old, black and white, tall and short, ladies and men, they can as well dance to it by way of starting from the traditional music has been refined to put, I put on some innovations into it by introducing a lot of the guitars, drums kit, and synthesizers. It's like any other music that you'll be hearing before.
And when did those instruments rather, when were they introduced to Nigeria? When did it come?
Well, it has been, a lot of those instruments has been introduced to Juju music before I was born. And I'm 38 years, 38 now, 1984. And it has been on before I was born. And we, the present generation, put more effort and put more refinery into it to make it well refined and been played well over around the world.
When did it start?
These instruments started from early 40s. And guitars was introduced into Juju, I think it's 1932 or so.
Maybe you could tell me about the start of Juju music. Who put it together?
Right. People like Ambrose Campbell. He is now 65 years old. He's based in New York, America. People like Ade Bakari. May so rest in peace, he's dead now. People like Ojoge Daniel. He's about 70 years old now. People like Akonbiege. He's about almost 70-something years, but he's dead at the moment. People like Tunde Nightingale. He's about 65 years old as well. He's dead too. People like Ike Daro, MBE. He was given an award by the Queen of England for his brand, for his kind of music on his own Juju music. People like Dele Ojo, they're playing Juju music as well. People like Ade Bakari, I think I've mentioned that. People like Commander Ebenezer Obey, me, Dele Abiodun, Awuji Bello, Waikaja, a host of others that has been playing Juju music. We, the present generation, started early 60s. I started in 1966 to play Juju music, but I've been playing Juju music before I formed my band in 1966. So Ebenezer Obey and others as well. But people like Ike Daro and Ojoge Daniel, those Ambrose Campbell, they started early 30s playing Juju music, and according to the research, they too got those music from their own father. They have been playing it, but by then they didn't put guitars. They are playing like afresh without putting any innovation to it. Like totally traditional African music. But when they started introducing like a saw, they used to cut the tree. They can scratch it and make a sound from it. And then the tin of a cigarette, they can scratch it and make another music from it. So they started from there. We have African guitar, we call it Goje, G-O-J-E. So it's the one we are playing before with a pick. It's about 3 strings on top of it. Now when they have guitars, they put guitars which is almost sounding the same. And then depends on what kind of music you are playing, it is how you play the guitar. So that's how we started.
What about the name? Where did that come from?
Those names?
The name Juju.
Juju music came from colonials that colonized Nigeria during that time, the British, because they don't know the kind of name they should give to it. And my ancestors got those music together from different shrines and have it on one music. Like those people worshiping the goddess of the sea, those people worshiping the goddess of the river, goddess of iron. They have different music, and on that line, they got it together to play, to make it one music, which is called juju music. And then the colonials say, oh, this music is juju. Those people performing black magic and everything, those are the music for them. So it's like the same music, the same name given to jazz during the olden days. You know, when they're playing jazz, they call it rubbish. This is jazz. We don't want, we're not interested in this. This is jazz. But when the music has been recognized, well, they can't change the name. If they change the name, the music is going to change. It's going to be a different music entirely. So they stick on that name. So juju music is the name given to my kind of music. I mean, by the time of my ancestors. So it's the same music, that the same name I have to still upheld. So I mean, I upheld that name still now. That's how we still play juju music. And I've started this band for almost 20 years ago. So you could imagine that before me, hundreds of musicians have done the same thing many years back.
What about music in the role, as the role of music? Let's shut up for a second. Right. The role of music in the life of the average Nigerian. Like, for example, I'm sure to many people it means very little. What about, say, to the average teenager, the average person in their 20s?
Yeah, actually, I would say music in Nigeria, if you take Nigeria for a start, the average people in Nigeria, they are always involved into music. In fact, from the early age, because I started involved into music at the age of 7. So my kids too, they're involved into music. But we don't have much school of music. But they learn by learning from the people. They learn by listening. They learn by involving into the music itself. They learn by hearing in different places, because it's like music in Nigeria is like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee everywhere. You have different music everywhere. You can even see two people walking on the street. They can be singing. They have like in the market you have many musicians playing for free. A lot of music everywhere. So music for average people in Nigeria is like
here.
Yeah, like a cup of tea.
What about your actual concerts back home? What are they like? Maybe you could describe the type of things that happen at your concerts.
Well, we have different kinds of concerts. We call one a ballroom dance. That's another one party. That's another one concert. That's another one like get-together dance. You see, get-together dance is like we're in a compound, just get-together dance. A party is like when one is doing a marriage ceremony or opening of a new house or a new company, or doing a funeral of his father or mother. You can call a party, or you've been promoted at your job, you can as well call a party. You see, over here they used to call a party inside the house, but in Africa, you know, inside is hot, so it's on the main compound, or they give you part of the street or a park to do it. So the band will come there to perform. There can be a series of bands there performing for different people. Then you can go from one party to another because you are being invited to all. You can sit down here, they serve you drinks and food, you dance, then you have another friend there to go to. Then you can do it. It's like a carnival. Then we have like a ballroom dance. The people, like charity organization, fundraising dance. They invite people, you donate. Then the band will be there to entertain. Then a concert is a place where you just paid in, no any talk apart from introducing the band to the audience, and then the show starts. Then we do play in a club as well. Depends on how and the area the clubs are, because the band, if the band is playing in a smaller club, it's probably they cut down the publicity, or the high the gate fee a little bit, or the tool they have to tell the public that so capacity of the hall is this, and if the ticket is finished, it's finished. So it's in this series of stars, and here too we it's not new to us when we started the concert.
Will all the bands be playing Juju music, or is there a wide variety?
Oh, we have different kinds of bands. Different kinds of bands.
For example?
Like for example, I am playing Juju music, and the barista is playing Fuji music. Fuji music. Fuji, F-U-J-I. Well, probably got that name from Japan. Playing Fuji music, and Collington is playing Fuji music. Fela Nicola Pokoti is playing Afrobeat. Sonny Okosun is playing Afrobeat reggae. A lot of others, they play highlife, like Dr. Vitolaya or Chicago. Victor Wife play Akwete music, like Balamila plays highlife and Caribbean music, and a lot of others. The rock groups, we have Chris Okotie playing rock. We will have a lot, a series of music, not to talk about traditional music entirely. The traditional music, they are unlimited. We have different kinds of communities, they have their own brand of music. Different towns, they have. Different states, they have. So eventually you should understand how many music we might have got in Nigeria. And we have well over 200 languages, and the dialect is about 400. So each dialect is supposed to have their own kind of music, while the languages have to get their own. Then the states, like in my state now, we have almost 18 different towns in a state. In my hometown, and in a state, it's like we have more than 120 towns. So those 120 towns, they are having their own kind of music, and in the dialect itself, they have, because like 9 miles to my town, the community they are playing different music. So generally we have Akbala music, we have Sakara music, we have Kanango music, we have Goje music, we have Fuji music, we have Juju music, we have Dadakwada music, we have Akwete music. It depends on the areas. So all these, they are not even using any Western instrument at all. They're purely traditional.
In Western music, there's often criticism from musicians in regard to the government, in regard to certain people, and then there's a backlash from the government, backlash from the rich, backlash from the powerful. Is there the same sort of social interaction in your music or in the music in Nigeria? That is, do you think the music has any effect on society? Do you want to have an effect on society?
Yes, I would say in Nigeria, every music in Nigeria reflects on society. But there are some really on political songs and lyrics, but I don't. Mine is continuously putting pressure on people to have peace. Like we have to recognize peace and love. And if other people hitting with politics, I have to hit from peaceful side of it. So we cannot hit together at the same time. That means even the people in the government, they're supposed to sit down one day and listen to the voice of the people, to the voice of the musicians. So they will probably take the political side first, or they take the peaceful side first. So the two hands can easily meet in some areas, because I look at it throughout the whole world and see that a lot of musicians so much, aggressive on political songs and everything. They're always having recognitions from the people, but the government always bounce back And when the band's back, and the band is disbanded, or they will organize one way or another to make sure that that band doesn't exist, so eventually the people will be looking forward to see another one. But if one is coming from the right, let the other one come from the left. That's why I choose the side of the peaceful side.
What would you expect, or what would you hope from your Japanese fans, from your following? What do you want them to see from you and from your music?
All what I want them to see is my kind of message I brought. Let's be together and be in love with each other, so that you don't know what I can do for you tomorrow. I don't know what you can do for me tomorrow, but don't let us think of harming each other, but extend the love to each other. That's what I used to do everywhere in the world. And when you see the band on the stage, you see that what we do on the stage is what we practice after the stage.
What about any problems in communication? Have you thought about that?
Well, I don't think the language will be a barrier, because the music itself is a language on its own. So eventually the music will speak for itself. You know? Because if the language is going to be a barrier, well, none of the Japanese will buy any American records or listen to any music from anywhere. They can only listen to them. But the music itself is no barrier. I mean, the language is no barrier. The music itself is a language on its own. So it's easy. It's the most extraordinary, simplest language you can ever learn, which is music. Anywhere in the world, music is music, because the Japanese writers can easily write a music, can write music now and give to Americans to play, and they will play it. So it's a common language that is easier.
Back in Nigeria, to go back a little ways, is the main medium for music these type of live concerts you were talking about, or is it radio, records, TV, or what?
Yeah, you can, you can. But at the moment now, you see, we are having a problem of piracy nearly all over the world, and we are trying our possible best with the musicians to push to the government in order to upgrade the law of copyright, so that the musicians can as well earn very good money, and those who send those records to Nigeria can as well have their own royalties, and also the buyers, the people listen to record, they will listen to quality, and because if the musician or the record company is doing the record, I mean releasing the record or pressing the record, and there are some other corporate, I mean pirating the records, they won't be interested in the record, and they will be blaming the recording companies. But the radios, like we're having stereo radio stations nearly all over the states, we're having multiple radio stations in every part of Nigeria, we're having television stations springing up nearly every time, and we're having colored, we don't use black and white. It's a long time we use black and white, since 1977 we use black and white, but now we're really working so hard in Nigeria, and that's why we are appreciating the what the Japanese made of electronics equipment, and also they appreciate us by using it in a proper way they normally told us to do.
What about in terms of popularity, Western versus African? What would you say the ratio or percentage is? Which is more popular, first of all, on the whole?
If I didn't get your question wrong, I really doesn't like to base on that, because when I get to the stage, it's hard for me to see through the lights of what kind of colored people or what kind of people in the audience. All what I used to see is hearing the sound of large ovations all the time, and then occasionally when the lights beam brighter, I will see thousands of heads, dancing or clapping or waving their hands, And that's what I enjoy so much. Because I don't go deep into that and say, how many black bought a ticket? Or how many whites in the audience? No, I don't do that. I play for people, I play for people.
What about your own roots? What kind of music were you brought up on?
Traditional music. I was brought into that very much, and also listen to jazz on my own. Later on, hearing a lot of some stars all over the world, like playing jazz music, Nat King Cole, Armstrong Sachimo, like Bill Benson, like Jim Reeves, like Dolly Parton, and etc., etc. And now to come to people like Michael Jackson, George Benson, and then they bring Benson Brothers, a lot of others like that. Even to Herbie Hancock is now a solo artist that's playing his own electronics and like human being. So from the start, I used to listen to local bands and traditional music because in our family company, they have to play that music in the morning, playing talking drums as early as 6 o'clock.
Who does?
As early as 6 o'clock in the morning. They have to play talking drums for His Royal King. Yes, to wake him up. It's like sounding a tune from the radio in the morning. You know, they have to make like a tune before they announce good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is radio or television play sound before. So the talking drum has to, and that talking drum, that's where they got the ideas of opening the stations with a talking drum in Nigeria. In the morning at 5 o'clock you will hear ding 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 ding. Then you will know that's radio opening the station.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'd like to know a little bit about the state, he says, of Africa, but I mean, that's kind of hard to talk about the whole of Africa. How about Nigeria? What is happening there right now? First of all, what kind of problems is Nigeria going through?
Actually, in Nigeria at the moment, we are having a change of government from civilian government to military government. And the only thing that is in existence now is the government is trying their own possible best to make sure we resolve the economy that has been going down, to try their possible best to uplift it by way of guiding every angle that the currency is passing out. So then to make sure that the people, even in the generality of Nigerians, are aware of austerity, that there's no money in the country, and we all have to work hard together to make sure that we work together and have that economy, if not all, but to uplift the economy, so that we will have a peace of mind of starving a little bit more food to come, because we are having problems in indebtedness with so many countries, which the present government doesn't like, and I believe that's why they came into power, and they're trying their possible best to make sure it goes through. And they're sending out a war against indiscipline.
Against what?
Indiscipline. Anybody is like anybody in the government that is not really doing well or involved into corruption has to be dealt with. And anybody in any companies who is in the areas of embezzling the company's money, they have to discipline. So it's the slogan to everybody. Why we call it why, WAI, war against indiscipline. So this is, it's not really hard on people. It's like when you abuse me, I will tell you you're going against why. You know, just to make sure that even from the little kids, to make sure that there must be fully discipline in the school. The teacher has to be disciplined, and the scholars, I mean the students, has to be as well disciplined, so that they will understand each other. Yeah.
How about yourself? Do you ever find yourself at odds with the government, with this WAI? Why?
No.
You're behind that.
I have never in the history been having any problems with the government. No, ever. Even to go to, I mean, police station, I've never have any record with them. All what I always like to say to the people is, I don't like government to impose a law onto people unnecessarily. Or sometimes the people can do something that can make the government to impose a law, like they say this is emergency law. Probably there's riot somewhere, they will impose the law. But if there's no riot, the government won't impose the law. So I better talk to the society first. Don't let us make a war. No riot. Let us understand each other. Listen to your brothers and let your brothers listen to you. Then you can settle what is a dispute. And if it is in a workers' areas, let the leader of the union speaks. Then the people in the company will listen. Then we'll put it on the table and settle it amicably, so that we don't even involve into riot. Because if you are involved in a riot, the family as well will not be happy. So eventually we're extending sadness to the family. So I would like to talk to the society through my records. And sometimes when I visualize that things about to go wrong, like I used to sing, I sang about the agricultural side of ours about a couple of years ago. Say we have to quickly, ratify that agric area. It was during that time the former government introduced OFM, like agricultural program. So we back it up because it's what the people need. People neglected the program before. Now we have to. So that is part of it. I have never had it so difficult. And the present government at moment, they didn't have it hard with the people. Because when it came to power, there's a jubilation everywhere, but the government says they should not jubilate. They don't come to rescue them, but they came to rescue their economy.
ミュージシャンというだけじゃなくて、アフリカからの大使というね、文化大使ということで捉えてるわけだけど、今アフリカではすごいその。
Okay, you've come here basically as a cultural ambassador from Africa. Like there are a lot of problems there, like starvation and whatnot. What do you think you're capable of doing? What do you think you have been capable of doing, and what will you be capable of doing as a cultural ambassador? So.
Well, to start with, that's the opportunity you gave to me now. Like the first word I said, I'm appealing to the Japanese government and the people of Japan to extend their love to Africa, especially those people starving. We, the Africans, because most of the African nations are down the economy, and some are responsible for it. Some are from drought, non-raining time, then the erosion of the land, and then the victim of wars, or that's in civil war everywhere, refugee camps and everything like that. A lot of things like that. Or from the political side of it, like the one is fighting for this for president and the other want to be the president. You know, like on political side of it. I'm appealing to the Japanese government and the people of Japan. The more technology the Almighty God gave to them, they should extend it to Africa to make sure that even to experiment what they have. You know, we have the land, and we want you people to come from here to help the African nation. To, because we have forests, we have land, and we have everything, but we need more techniques to make sure that the food grows, and like the erosion area, the drought area, then we can as well use another technology to make sure that the soil is softer to make the crops grow.
How about especially the youth of Japan? What would you like to see them do?
The youth of Japan,
What would you like?
the areas, I mean, what I've been reading about them, I read about them that when they were young, I mean, as young as they are, they involve them into modern technology. That all what I want them to do is they should make sure that they upheld the image of Japan. That during their own time, they have to have it in mind that Japan should not fall into any angle of anything in the world. They should not fall politically, they should not fall technically, they should not fall on technology, they should not fall in anything. They have to uplift that name, Japan, the image, and they have the respect of the country. So, because the whole world regarded Japan and what they have, and they should not let it fall.
Thank you very much.